Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I promise you, this is not a political podcast.
Jump from the deep end of the pool, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. 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 Set up the mood.
Let me give you a quick little introduction. Testicles 1, 2, testicles. Welcome back to Paranoid Radio Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Trebles Garcia, the humble host of this amazing adventure. I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today, and I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the most important thing that you could do for the show today is word of mouth. And check us out at paranoidradio.com. Do not forget to drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it, because this is the best show with the best content for the best listeners, you. I have an amazing episode lined up, ladies and gentlemen, so please allow me to jump in from the deep end of the pool and set the mood. I have the legendary, the one and only. This person has been doing his rounds, and now he's doing the work of God. I am blessed to have him here today on the show. Please give a warm welcome to Zachery King. How are you, brother?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Again, like I was mentioning before the show started, I heard of you dropping bombs of knowledge on the Cult of Conspiracy podcast. Shout outs to Jonathan. Shout outs to Jacob. And the person this episode is dedicated to Chef from Sunday Night Secret Societies, because he's been on a look and he gave me an amazing lead. So, Zach, I understand that you have a lot to say now that you're doing the work of God. Before anything, please tell us where people can find you.
allsaintsministry.org. My email address is mysticforgod@yahoo.com. So mysticforgod@yahoo.com. Or you can call me on my cell phone, which I don't know where it is right now, but it's 202-578-6554. And it's a ministry phone, but I take all phone calls on that. You know, if I answer your call, it's me. It's not my secretary.
Wow.
And
Thank you so much.
I encourage people to call me. I mean, if you have a spiritual warfare problem, I'm your guy. You need to give me a call. I will help you as best as I can.
Spiritual warfare. I like the way you put that, because the stuff that's happening around the world, especially for the buzz parents, I didn't get to learn what the word love meant until I don't want to say found Jesus, but until I became a father. And then I found out that I wasn't grown myself. I still had bits or pieces of my life, puzzles of my life that I needed to fill by becoming a child again, by becoming submissive, by forfeiting all my negativity and changing my life, and trying to walk the most righteous path I can, but most importantly, being a good example for my daughters. Then I have a 14-year-old and I have a 2-year-old. I'm sorry?
You have to learn to die to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then make God your everything.
The center.
Amen.
Now, I want to talk about you. Where do you come from? Where do you hail from?
Clewiston, Florida. It's a town in the middle of nowhere. It's in the Everglades in Florida. It's alligator country. If you're going to travel from West Palm Beach on the East Coast to Fort Myers, Florida on the West Coast, you have to drive right through Clewiston.
Mm.
But don't blink, because you might miss it.
Wow. It's that remote, huh?
When I was a kid there, it was probably 2,000 or 3,000 people tops. Now, that was in the 70s. Now that, I was born in 66. Now that I'm 58, I think the population is 7,000 something. So it hasn't gone up a whole lot.
You're no older than my father, dude. My father was born in 1969. And you guys are about the same age, man. I only hope he finds Jesus sometime. That old guy is not learning any new tricks. So, all right, dude. So I understand that you have been converted from the inside out. You were reborn. Please talk to me a little bit about your past, a little bit about your experiences.
I I'd watched all the scary movies by the time I was 10 that was out by the time I was 10. And I fell in love with magic. And I wanted magic to be real. And I asked my Baptist preacher and my parents if magic was real, and they said no. Now, as a side note here, about 3 years ago, I had a caregiver that said if I could prove magic is real, he'd give me $10,000. He's got it in
Mhm.
cash right now, and he'll give it to me if I can prove it. So I told him
Mhm.
to come on over. I was ready to prove it. And then
Mhm.
I showed him that in the Bible, it says, "Thou shalt not kill," one time. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not lie. And all of those are serious crimes to God. And they all ended up in the Ten Commandments. They were
Mhm.
serious enough to make it into the Ten Commandments. But God said it one time each. You'd think if God said it once, it ought to be very important.
Mhm.
God said not to do magical things 33 times.
Oh, that's extremely important.
If if it was impossible to lie, cheat, steal, kill,
Mhm.
those things wouldn't be commandments. If it was impossible to do it, he wouldn't tell you not to.
Oh, wow.
He
Look
would
at
tell
that.
you not to do magic 33 times. Not only can you do it, but it will work, and he doesn't want you to. It's a violation of the first commandment.
Oh, wow.
So me showing him all this, I'm still waiting for my $10,000. To me, that proved magic works. Because if God's telling you not to do it, it means you can do it.
Mhm. Mhm. That's insane. So you've dabbed around a little bit with magic. And I don't want to focus on the negative part because the most important part here is your purpose now.
Right.
But during your transition, before your transition, what were some of the things that you were taught, that you learned?
Um, I was taught that if you did a hex, which is a magic spell, but it's the top level of magic spell, for you to get what you want, you have to give Satan what he wants. And Satan wants the death of innocence. So if you commit an abortion or an assisted abortion, Satan will give you what you want. But I also learned that you can't trust the devil because what he gives you isn't equal to what you give him. You're
Mhm.
murdering a baby in the womb, you're doing an abortion, and you say you want $1 billion. So he gives you $1 million. Now, $1 million is nice if you don't have anything, but if you're looking for the billion and you get a million, that's really lower. I mean, you've got to make 1,000 times that to have your billion
Mhm.
dollars.
Mhm.
Anything he offers you, it's never a fair trade. And then the stuff
Mhm.
that he gives you, it's like he gives you this beautiful box covered in glitter and lights,
Mhm.
and it looks great and it's covered in neon.
Mhm.
And then you open it and you see gold bars in it. But he tells you don't examine it too closely, just admire the box. Because if you examine the gold bars, you're going to find that it's aluminum foil wrapped in with dog poop. It's not real gold. It's not real gold. You
He-
can't do anything with it.
He's the author of lies, man.
He's the father of lies. He's the father of lies.
Yeah.
Um, you can't. I tell people in my conferences, if the devil tells you good morning, get a second opinion.
Wow. Look at that. That's an interesting way to put it. Let me ask you something. And this is out of the ballpark here. The more the more in touch I get into the Bible, I think the Bible is probably the deepest conspiracy book of all time. And I'm a conspiracy theorist at heart. I think it has murder, it has sex, it has true crime, it has trials, it has emperors, it has wars, it has zombies, it has everything you ever wanted, bro. If it's all there. It's already pre-written. It's the most published book in the world and the most stolen book in the world. It's something for a reason. And the more I get in touch with it, shout outs to my fourth leg. I call him my fourth leg, Juan from work, and he is also a co-host of the show now. Um, he's been teaching me how the devil's defeated. He's being defeated. However, I ask him this: And I still don't have the right answer for this. Why does he keep trying? Bro, you've been defeated, dude. You tried selling Jesus. You tried selling Jesus what Jesus created. And you like you dude, Jesus himself is not even gonna come and fight you. He's gonna send an angel to come and fight you. That's how weak you are, bro. You've lost. Why does he continue to battle? Like, well, I gotta give him. He's resilient in many ways, bro. I'm not sympathizing with Satan here, but he doesn't stop.
Right. Well, he knows that he's lost, and he knows that eventually he'll be in hell, and he knows that to hurt God, because he can't hurt God physically, but he can hurt God's heart, and he can bring as many souls with him to hell as he possibly can. And he knows right now his time is growing short, and he's on a mission. He's got to get as many people to go to hell as he possibly can.
Through magic, did you find yourself at any given point influencing others to follow those steps?
I was in 2 covens. My first coven from the time I was 12 till I was about 18, and it was full of people. We had anywhere from 110 to 150 members at any given time. We had 13 high priests and priestesses. We had mages. Title mage is the person that does the magic. Everybody in the coven, the brand new coven member wears a white robe. The person that gets indoctrinated into Satanism is wearing a black robe with a red inverted pentagram. And the person that's the mage, and we have a lot of mages, is the magic practitioner. They wear a red robe with a black inverted pentagram. And no matter how old you are as a mage, any age can be a mage. You can be 5 years old, you can be 95 years old and be a mage. And there's no limit. But when you're the mage, they take what you say seriously and with weight. Even if you said something nonsensical as a child, it would be laughed off and, they tell you just go play. But if you said it as a mage, they would listen to you. And that's the position I wanted. I love magic. And I wanted to do that because I'm a kid. Nobody listens to me. But if I'm a mage, everybody listens.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. So it gave you a sense of power, a sense of purpose,
right,
and influence.
Right.
Gosh.
And then everybody in the coven, when they see that you are given whatever you want and you're wearing the red robe, now everybody wants to do that. But not everybody can be the mage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The
so they try harder. They try harder to being more influential, doing the hardest hexes, the hardest spells, being more dark than usual.
Satanism is like to excel, to rise up in Satanism, you have to be worse than anyone else. So somebody else has committed 10 abortions, you've got to do 15. You've got to get the devil's attention, but also everybody in the coven's attention. My first coven did a lot of human trafficking and child sex trafficking. And they were into kiddie porn and child prostitution. And everybody in the coven, I think, did it. Like the adults were fully involved and all the children were involved. And they did a lot of trafficking. So the child you're seeing today, today might be your only day of seeing them because they're going to move on to a different coven tomorrow. So you need to shoot whatever films you can get right now. But you keep track of where the kids go because people buy these videos and they want to see that child again. And people would write into us. We'd get letters sometimes from Japan where somebody would say they saw us perform and my name was Tommy in the video and there's other girls that have other names and nobody uses their real name, but they would write in and ask for, can we see Tommy and Little Bit performing? And this is the positions we want to see. This is what we want to see them do. Now, remember when this is happening, I'm a kid and I'm 12 years old when I started. And they told me they would make me a movie star. Now, what they make is movies are an hour and a half to 2 hours long. Videos are an hour and a half long. Vids are 7 minutes long and they're still photos. So all of that is made when you're making child pornography. And then they sell everything at a top dollar. So it's not like somebody can buy one of these videos for $5. They're selling for thousands of dollars. And then we would get, do you remember, I don't know, how old are you?
33 years old.
33. When you were in first and second grade, because when I was in first and second grade, they used notebook paper that was wider than it was tall.
Mm-hmm.
So we had, now you have notebook paper that's tall and so wide, like 8 inches wide and 11 inches tall. But back then, we used paper that was like 8 inches tall and maybe a foot or so wide. And it had really wide lines on it. And then you used a really fat pencil to write on it. So somebody would send us a letter on that, and that it either be written with one of those thick pencils or be written in crayon. So we thought a child was writing it. And they would ask for these things. It didn't occur to us till I was an adult that it was adults that were writing to us. It's like there's no way a child would have had access to this unless they were performing same as we are, as another pedophile somewhere, or a child actor of some kind. And we wouldn't have, if you'd have said pedophile to us back then, we'd never heard that term. We didn't know what it was. It was nothing but pedophiles filming us, adults sometimes being in the film, and it was pedophiles writing to us. But we didn't know. We thought it was kids watching, because when I watched the videos the first time, I was in a room full of children, and some of the kids that were in the room were on the video.
Programming, yeah.
It was awesome to me because when you go to the movie theater and you see a movie, that actor could be 10,000 miles away from you. You don't know where he is. I mean, where is Mel Gibson today? Who knows? Is he in Australia? Is he in California? Is he in New York? Is he in France or Italy? He could be anywhere. He's not your next door neighbor. But here I'm watching a video that's got 12 kids in it, and 8 of those kids are sitting with me watching the video.
Wow. I assume, not to amplify what you said, I assume that the darker they go, the next covenant, the next generation, the next amount of people are trying to do the same thing. They're trying to, like you said, beat the last group of people, how dark they went. If there was 15 guys in that movie, now they want to do 25 and 35 and so forth. So there's a never ending of darkness, and the perversion will only get darker from here on out. It's not like it stops at a certain point and then there's a new experiment. No, the experiment just gets darker and more wicked and more twisted.
Well, I mean, as an example, there's a movie that just came out. I think it opened in theaters last Friday. It's called Terrifier 3.
Mm-hmm.
It was worse, more violent, more gory, more bloody than Terrifier 2, which was more gory, more violent, more scary than Terrifier 1.
Terrifier 1. Yeah.
They each get worse as they go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm really surprised that soon there'll be like an NC-17 rating for a Terrifier movie. And then you'll have to be over 18 to watch it. Right now, you have to be 17 to get into it, unless you have adults that will come in and walk with you.
Not condemning that, yeah. Yeah, look at that.
When I go to a lot of movies, I go to see what there is, because children will talk to me at my conferences and ask me, is this true? Can this happen? Is this a legitimate thing? And usually it's horror movies. Anything that has to do with a tarot deck or Ouija board or magic. And I thought, well, let's see what this Terrifier movie is all about, figuring that everybody there would be old, at least 18. And there were little kids there, like 10 years old, coming in there with an adult. And I thought, you should get the Worst Parent of the Year award, because you're here allowing your 10-year-old to see this film.
You're not only accepting, but advocating, enabling that type of behavior, but you're also endorsing it, and you're not condoning any negative entity, demonic entities to enter your children's influence. And this is why they start becoming negative habits. This is why they start talking back to you. And it starts at little increments. And the more
Right.
movies they're
Right.
exposed to, the more stuff that they're exposed to, the more less reasoning you have with them. And I've gone with that like that with my oldest daughter, and now going through that with my youngest. But now,
Did
Zach,
did you see
I
the
want to
movie,
push. I'm sorry.
did you see the movie Nefarious?
No, I've heard a lot about it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, you can get it on YouTube.
Okay.
Nefarious is this guy that he's a prisoner. He's going to be electric. He's going to be in an electric chair and die in prison like the next day. And a
Hmm.
psychiatrist is there to figure out if he's crazy or is he really possessed or is he just playing everybody and he can die tomorrow, same as he's scheduled to be. And
Hmm.
so when the demon comes out and speaks, the guy that plays him, I don't know if you saw the movie Boondock Saints, but he's one of the twin brothers from Boondock Saints. And so he's playing two roles in the movie. He's playing the prisoner, and then it flips, and he's playing the demon.
Hmm.
And he's totally a different person when he's playing the demon than when he plays the prisoner. And the demon tells this guy, possession doesn't happen like this. Possession is a bunch of small increments, a bunch of small yeses until eventually you're at the big yes and you're possessed. But when the person starts out, it's just, would you like to sin today? How about just a simple sin, an easy sin? No one gets hurt in this. Just maybe just tell a little white lie.
Yeah.
Once you've told a bunch of white lies, now you're telling black lies. And once you've done all that, well, you can't go to God and confess that now. Look how many lies
Yep.
you've told, how much sin you've
Mhm.
done. You might as well keep going.
Mhm. By
You know,
that
and
time, you already been desensitized to all the little white
right,
lies that the dark lies don't even feel regular anymore. They just feel basic, like you could do them
right,
like nothing. Hmm. Hmm.
right. And there's 7 steps to possession. The first step isn't even a sin. The first step is temptation because you're tempted to sin.
Yeah. You know what's funny that you're talking about tempted to sin because I was thinking about this today and I just spoke about it literally 10, 15 minutes before we started conversating. I spoke with one of my best friends in podcasting game. Shout out to Janet from the Deplorable Nation. And I was speaking with her and then I told her, hey, because I studied, I'm really doing really good. I'm gaining weight. I'm not drinking anymore. I'm doing well. I feel really confident. But my wife is going out of the country at the end of October and also at the end of November. So I'm like, uh-oh, what happens when I'm alone? All these voices come in my head. What's going to happen? One beer become two, two beers become four beers become a bottle of vodka, and then a bag of cocaine or worse. And then I'm on a bender. And then I'm not only in a bender, but I'm missing work. I'm fighting with my wife, etc. and etc. Ooh, dude, you open up a can of demons, not of worms, of demons or demonic worms. But enough about the demonic stuff. Let's bring some light into the conversation. What's your
All right.
purpose now, Zach? What are you dedicating your life to now?
I teach people about spiritual warfare, how to fight in spiritual warfare, how you know, Satan is the biggest idiot in the room. Satan was in heaven and decided
Hmm.
to give that up. Like, are you stupid? Yes,
Hmm.
apparently he is. And, I tell people when the robber shows up to rob you, do you hand your gun over to him and say, please keep going? Or do you shoot the robber? Stand your ground, shoot the robber.
Hmm.
Um, when Satan shows up, you need to fight, and don't think that, I grew up being bullied as a child. And I found out early on that not hitting the bully back doesn't stop him from hitting you.
Hmm.
If you decide I'm just going to ignore him, if I ignore the bully, he'll go away. No, that doesn't work. That's a butt kicking right there. If you won't hit the bully back, he can bully you every day because you won't do anything. It's like if Satan is attacking you, you need to charge back. You need to pull out a weapon and charge him and not be afraid of what he's doing to you. Do you know when Satan started attacking you? When he found out your mom was pregnant. Soon as he found out your mom was pregnant, he was like, your husband will leave you. Your parents will kick you out of the house. You'll have
Look
to
at
quit
that.
school. You'll have to quit your job. You
Mm.
can't be pregnant. Just get an
Mhm.
abortion. It's the easiest thing in the world.
Wow.
$600 to $1,000, and depending on where you went, you know, it'll be over. You
In
can get
some
off.
places, it's free.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in this country, if you want an abortion and your state doesn't offer them, Uber will give you a ride to an abortion mill for free.
There's always a way, huh?
Right.
Let me
You know,
ask you something, Zach.
sure.
During the transition of your life, and as you are fighting the darkness on a daily basis, do you feel drained? Do you still get attacked at this level of knowledge?
Yeah. Um, I think if my attack stopped, I'd think I was doing something wrong.
Word.
You know,
I hear that.
your job, no matter where you are, your job is to get close to God.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to get close to God, Satan doesn't want that. He knows he loses, but between now and the time Jesus comes back,
Mhm.
only God the Father knows when that is, and Satan doesn't know, so he has to work harder. It's like he invents a new age religion almost every day. Some of them are
Oh
just,
yeah.
an old
Hmm.
invention. It's a new invention of something old, so
Hmm.
he has it refurbished, but it's still there. I mean, tarot cards got a lot of people, and then that went away. And then he invented angel cards. It's still a tarot card. And you don't know the name of your angel, and you don't know how many names there are that are actual angel names, and how many of those angel cards are demon names. Do we know?
Word.
We
Hmm.
only know 3 or 4 angel names.
Yeah.
And
I.
there's so many. I used to describe Satanism as having 3 houses. You have 2 houses that are back to back, and another house at the end. And all of these houses have privacy fences around them, and they all think they're the only house. One
Mhm.
house attacks only the Catholic Church. One house attacked only the Baptist Church. And
Mhm.
the other house does passive attacks. These are 2
Mhm.
active attacks. The passive attack writes material, does plays, movies, books, papers, and has debaters, and they're debating and teaching you about atheism, socialism, communism,
Mhm.
Satanism, and New Age. And they're trying to draw you away from God. There's a lot of times that there's an atheist out there that's having a debate with somebody, and the atheist isn't a true atheist. He knows there's a God, and he knows there's a Satan, and he's trying to get as many people to follow nothing, because if you're following nothing, you're following Satan. And if you die an atheist, I hear there's no atheist in hell, because once you get there, you realize, oh, there is a God. Satan is real, and now I'm stuck in
Mhm.
hell. I can't get out.
That's insane. I've always said that this is a spiritual war. I've always said that every single conspiracy theory, and just recently I found out that every single conspiracy theory, regardless of where it comes from, regardless of the origins, they all lead to the same place: spiritual warfare. It's hardcore. It's good versus evil in every sense of the word. You want to think about
Right.
aliens? Yeah. You want to think about paranormal activity? Yeah. You want to think about even serial killers? Yeah. Every single conspiracy theory leads to that, to the influence, to the narrow road, or to the thick and wide road where a lot of people fit. It's wild.
Well, I mean, even when you look at like Bohemian Grove,
Uh-huh.
and people think about the conspiracy theories and the giant owl and the altars
Mhm.
and cremation of care, and it's like, that's a satanic ceremony. it's a satanic event. There's a lot of homosexuality that happens when you're there. And, it's people hobnobbing with each other, but also getting work from the high wizard and, giving him work. But people don't think about it's nefarious, it's satanic. The Illuminati is satanic. The Freemasons are satanic. And I know I throw the word satanic around a lot, but if it is satanic, you need to say it's satanic.
Word. Yeah. And but a lot of people don't like. I know people are gonna go cringe. They're gonna cringe when I say this right now, but it's the truth, guys. If you're thinking about elves and you're thinking about Bigfoot and all these other and even aliens at a point, right? To a certain extent, guys, if it's not godly, it's satanic. At the end of the day, there's only two, bro. You could call it different names, you could put different faces on it. The author of lies has 1,000 different masks, and he's gonna make you believe different things. But if it's not Jesus Christ, it's something else, guys, and it's Satan for sure.
Also, before you get baptized, you're a child of Satan. You don't become a child of God until your baptism. So, if you've got a child and you're not baptizing them until they can choose God for themselves, we don't do that in the Catholic Church. We baptize as infants because everybody is born with original sin. So we eliminate the original sin with an early baptism. Kids that wait till they're 12 or 13 years old, they're a child of Satan until they baptize. And you're holding, what happens if that child dies before they choose God and before they get baptized? Because according to the Bible, you can't get to heaven unless you're baptized in the Spirit, or in the water in the Spirit.
I took two questions just because I'm ignorant to this. But what is the original sin? When you say we're born with the original sin?
Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve committed the original sin, and that passed down to all of us. So everybody's born with original sin after Adam and Eve committed the original sin.
Yeah. I didn't see it that way. It's good to know different perspectives. Zachery King, you've came, you've conquered, you gave us knowledge, you donated your time, but most importantly, you have pivoted this conversation to something light. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to give you the opportunity to tell people where they can find you still.
All right. My website is allsaintsministry.org. And that has a contacts page, and that's got my email address, which is mysticforgod@yahoo.com, and my phone number, 802-578-6554. Thank you very much for having me.
I want to thank you for being here today. Thank you so much for donating your time. And there is a lot of more information in that beautiful mind of his. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, make sure you check him out. Zachery King has been doing his rounds. He's been on Cult of Conspiracy podcast. He's soon to be on many other. And today he was on Paranoid Radio podcast. I want to thank you for being here today. Thank you so much for donating your time. And ladies and gentlemen, do not forget to drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Peace out. That was beautiful.
Paranoid Radio.